Dinesh Bhaiya. Jai Guru. Yeah, welcome to this program with IIT'ians,
Kedar
Prashikshan
ji.
Kendra students and many other students. Kedar also sir is there. Yeah. Kedar Risbood sir is also there.
Okay.
So should we start?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So all viewers, very warm and good evening to all of you, and happy Janmashtami. We are having an opportunity to interact with very good personalities. Let me first introduce to you Dinesh Ghodke sir. He's my senior from IIT Bombay, has an amazing experience for the last 25 years teaching students and teaching youth across the world, 36 countries uh, through the Art of Living programs, along with another senior IITian, Khurshed Batliwala, who today couldn't join us. But the duo has been doing something remarkable for students and youth across the world. So all students who are listening today, it's a wonderful opportunity for you to listen to a very eminent personality who has been a great motivator, inspirer, and has helped youth to handle all their issues. So therefore, today we'll be shooting a lot of questions to him, and I'm sure Dinesh will answer those questions, and students will be immensely benefited. Students and parents listening, very thank you for joining. This is a panel discussion covering a comprehensive set of topics on education, and I'm sure a few of those themes will be relevant to you as well. We have along with us also Kedar Risbood sir, and he is also from IIT Guwahati, and he has a rich experience of teaching JE experience for the last 15, 16 years. And the unique part about Kedar Risbood sir is that he has contributed to formal education as a professor in engineering college and various colleges. And also he has been associated with the coaching industry. So he has seen the formal education sector as well as the parallel education sector. And currently he is training JE aspirants just like myself. And let me introduce myself also in case some of you who are not knowing me. I am Durgesh Mangeshkar. I am also a graduate from IIT Bombay. And currently I'm running this institution called IIT'ians Prashikshan Kendra in Pune for the last 18 years. I teach maths and physics to students. So welcome Dinesh sir, and welcome all students. So we'll just start our interaction. Kedar sir, are you here? Are you also around? Let me just see. Alet Kate?
His name is not visible. Kedar
Risbood sir.
Yeah. So you can
all
start.
Right. So I will just start the interaction. I hope Kedar will join soon. Dinesh sir, you have been, doing a lot of inspirational work for students and youth.
You can call me Dinesh. Let's keep it very informal.
Okay. All right.
It's wonderful seeing you and all the students here as well as on our channel BND TV.
Great.
I would also like to welcome everyone.
Jai Guru.
Yes.
There are a set of issues which usually students face, encounter. They have a lot of questions. So we would like that these questions be discussed today. You could offer your insights into them, and I'm sure it will be enlightening for students and even parents who are listening to them. It'll add some value to them.
And wonderful if you also share your good practices, because you have been training this sector for almost 20 years now.
Yes.
And like we say, through discussion, the truth or the true solutions come up. You say, Vade jayate tattva bodha.
Wow.
So let's see how the truth comes up today.
So we'll deliberate on all those aspects.
Yes.
Okay, so the first theme, and which is usually the topmost, it should not be, but unfortunately it is the topmost in the minds of students, is exams. And all those exams, all that the exam brings along with it, tensions, stresses, anxiety, and many other aspects. We have been coaching students for this IIT entrance and this medical entrance exams. And you have cracked that IIT exam back in the 90s. It had a different pattern. When we gave the examination in the 90s, it had a different pattern. The today's pattern is such that besides the knowledge of the subject, you also need to have strong nerves and a lot of presence of mind during the examination. And we have seen so many students in the past, not just from our institution, but around us, who prepared for this exam for 2 years, 3 years, sometimes 4 years. And just on that day of the exam, when they had to perform those 3 hours, 6 hours, they could not deliver the goods. So after a lot of, and there have been some expert studies also in this aspect. When students give high stress examinations, about 60-70% of their success, it seems, depends on the knowledge they have, and 30 to 40% depends on what they do in the examination. So exam temperament. So one of the things which, if we can discuss it right away, is how do students, or how should students improve or increase or enhance their exam temperament? Because it matters to the extent of 30 to 40%.
Now, that is a very interesting result, because I keep training all sorts of people, right? From bureaucrats, diplomats, to housewives, students, CEOs, and sports people, artists. And last week I was conducting this for the top sportsmen of India and sportswomen of India. And they said that the way we play in our practice matches is way better than what we play in our games. Because when the main event is happening, the big game is happening, then, as you rightly said, and research shows, it is a battle of nerves more than your technique. And because, at the top level, the technique is more or less the same. Your physical capability is more or less the same. It all matters how your mind is at that moment, what we call the moment of truth. So similarly, the exam is the moment of truth. What you have studied for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, finally depends on what you perform in those 2 hours, 3 hours. And that is why something like meditation or pranayam, yoga, is so powerful, because it teaches you how to handle your nerves, how to handle your mind, how to handle a stressful situation. Now let me tell you briefly, the brain has different modes. One mode is the fight or flight system. So if you are facing danger or some stress, immediately the sympathetic nervous system kicks in, the fight or flight. And fight or flight means what? All the blood from the brain is sort of drained into the extremities, into your arms or legs, because either you need to fight or you need to flee, isn't it? Run away from that. Take yourself back to the jungle days, and you are faced with a saber-toothed tiger. You have to either fight it out or you have to run from there. So the blood from the brain is drained into the arms and the legs. So what is happening at that moment? Your brain is not functioning. You have to react instinctively as fast as you can. Because if you have a tiger in front of you, you can't say, okay, let me think now what to do. That doesn't happen. The brain doesn't go into thinking mode at all. Are you getting that?
Yes.
Now, gone are the days of tigers and woolly mammoths and snakes. Now, what do we have? We have the interviews, we have the exams, or when they grow older, then we have mother-in-laws and bosses and so on. So these are the stressors, isn't it? These are the tigers of today. So when you face them, brain immediately gets into that fight or flight. Either you want to run away from that situation or you want to fight it. And both are not good coping mechanisms. So what you need to do is, in spite of that, how you can override that evolutionary response and keep yourself calm, knowing that, okay, it is exam time, but how can I write it as if I am in my living room solving a, what do you call it? The question paper.
Solving the problems.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So if you can get yourself, if you can train your mind to get into that state, then you can perform so much better. Do you see that? And that happens only with regular meditation and pranayama. And well, this research has been happening on the Sudarshan Kriya, what is taught on the Art of Living, Meditation and Breath workshop, the Part 1 program, or what we call the YES course, Youth Empowerment and Skills workshop, or the YES Plus, which is happening in schools and colleges all over the world. Why is it so popular? Why do principals and decision makers and parents want this program for their children because it trains them to handle their mind. Not only during exam time, not only during an interview or a viva, but further ahead in their life. So they don't get into this fight and flight response, but they can handle that stressful situation with ease, with which they have already learned. They have studied for it for a year, for 2 years, for 3 years.
Right.
Isn't that what is your experience? You tell me.
Yeah, I mean, we have been experimenting actually with this lot of different academic level techniques with students. I mean, exam strategies, guessing strategies, even asking students to take some deep breaths during the exam, even asking them to do alternate nostril pranayam just before the exam starts, maybe Brahmari pranayam. These are things which we teach to students. It has definitely a lot of effect, no doubt about it. But we have also been doing the YES course, the YES program, where I think Sudarshan Kriya is taught, meditations are taught, yogasana is taught, and students are taught how to handle their mind in the course. And for the last 18 years, every single batch, a good number of students have done it. I think almost a couple of thousand students have done this course in their institution in the last 18 years. However, what I have also observed is that unless you do that practice regularly, those results may or may not come in. So how do we ensure that once, let's say, the child starts a particular practice, continues that? I mean, that could be one of the challenges to do that.
True. I would reply it in two ways. One is what Patanjali says in the first shloka of the Yoga Sutras. The first sutra, he says, Atha Yoganushasanam, Anushasan, which is self-discipline.
Self-discipline.
Yeah. So one is that if they can have that self-discipline to practice it 15-20 minutes. And the beauty, I mean, I can only share about what I have been teaching last 26 years, and my experience all over the world. So the Sudarshan Kriya is such a enjoyable practice. It's such a pleasurable practice. But still, initially, only for a short time, you need to have that self-discipline. Then you look forward to it.
Okay.
When do I do, that 15-20 minutes? When do I do that half an hour of practice? So yes, self-discipline is required. And second is a sort of a community, a kind of a buddy or a group they have around them, so that it is, so to speak, cool. Because they are in that age, the teenage, where they are seeking validation from everyone, isn't it? I want to be cool. And they don't realize that meditation is becoming the coolest thing around the world. The topmost people in any field you take, whether it's the artist community, the sports people, the politicians, or somewhere or the other, they do practice meditation. The greatest scientists and researchers of the world, they have got all those insights and those creative spurts or that innovation when they have been relaxed. As you know, where did Archimedes find out about the buoyancy principle?
In the bathing tub.
In the bathtub, when you're taking a shower. This all people would have experienced it. The greatest ideas you get when you're taking a shower. Sometimes I feel we should have like a a board there, whiteboard or something. If I can just write out my ideas that I get, that will make a lot of difference.
True.
So Newton found it, the principle of gravity, gravitational force, when he was chilling in the garden. He saw the apple fall and realized, why is it falling this way, not the other way? There must be some force. You see that? So similarly, you talk about Mendeleev, 105 tables. It was impossible to fit them, in the periodic table. He got that idea when he was taking a walk in the garden, again, in the park. You see? So any of the Kekule found out about the benzene ring structure in a dream. Three snakes eating each other. He realized it may not be linear structure. It is cyclic. You see? So if our students and our teachers and also parents can understand this, that little investment, 20 minutes, half an hour every day, your students will be able to apply the knowledge much better.
Much better.
They will have all those creative ideas and thoughts, which is what is required in many of these exams. They are not just looking at your how best you can vomit, Isn't it?
True,
Sometimes
true.
that becomes like a,
Yeah,
you know,
of course.
you stuff things in, and then on the exam paper, and how best you vomit is but parents take pride in. My son vomits better than yours. No, that's not,
Yeah.
I feel education should be. No,
Yeah.
education.
Fortunately, IIT coaching is not like that.
Exactly.
And
So
this,
you, both of you, Durgesh
yes,
and
yes.
Kedarji, you are in a wonderful space
Yeah,
where you are teaching students to not only assimilate the knowledge,
right.
but also how to internalize it, integrate it in their life so that it becomes natural for them.
True, true.
And what we say on the YES program, which is happening in campuses all over the world, educational campuses, we say learn or study for knowledge, not for marks.
Not for months.
If you have the knowledge, you will get good marks, obviously. But there may be cases where you have excellent marks and you know marks and you know nothing about the subject or hardly anything. You may have all these certificates, but you are asked about what is derivation, what is integration. I don't know. I know the formulas. You ask me, I'll vomit it properly. Isn't that so?
True, 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 true.
So learning or studying for knowledge, not for
Knowledge, yeah.
then exam becomes what we call a pet, personal evaluation tool for you to know how much you are. So it's like you are challenging the teacher. Okay, you set the exam paper how you want.
Right.
We will see how, you know, wonderful.
So you learn from the test rather than being a performance game. It becomes a learning game.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. And when it comes to knowledge, gaining knowledge, always some element of logic comes in. And when we introduce students to physics, chemistry, mathematics, or any of the sciences, the child or the student tries to say, I'm rational, I'm a logical thinker, rational thinker. So where does spirituality come here? I mean, why do I need spirituality? Or why is it required in the first place? I'm doing everything logical. My mind can take care of everything. I can intellectually, process everything. And ultimately, is spiritual scientific or is spirituality scientific? Is it unscientific? What it is? Because when we speak to students, there are three categories. There are one who have some faith in these kind of stuff. There are others who totally reject it. This is just not our piece of thing, and this is something to be done in the old age, or maybe some others it will have effect. We don't need it, and we are fine.
Yes.
And the third category is like agnostic. They are like hota hoga shayad, but mere liye nahi hai. Mujhe nahi zarurat hai. So how would you explain spirituality to a teenager, and is it required really? Because when I remember distinctly, I mean, in the IITs, of course, I saw all this happening. But also when I was studying in the University of Massachusetts Amherst, you had come there, if you remember.
Yes,
You had taken a course also there.
Yeah.
Your course was attended by almost all Americans, very few Indians. Again, there were courses offered in the university for a credit. Different types of yoga courses were organized, and even Tai Chi was offered. And the classroom used to be full of Westerners. So is it that somewhere we have lost respect for spirituality and somebody else has picked it up and they are deriving the benefits? Is it something like that? And why is it required in the first place for teenagers?
Okay, wonderful question. I have gone through all those three phases, being an atheist or being a believer, being an agnostic, whatever. So I can relate to that. Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankar ji puts it very nicely. He says, science is what is this? And spirituality is who am I? So actually they go hand in hand.
Okay.
You need to have an extremely scientific temper to understand what happens in the body, how my mind functions, how my emotions function, and that those emotions contribute to my IQ as well. Today, the topmost people, like I was saying earlier, in any field, if you see, what they are looking for is the EQ, not the IQ.
Right.
Emotional quotient, how you can handle people,
right.
How you can handle chaos management,
right.
How you can lead teams, how you can put people together, inspire them. This emotional quotient is more important than IQ. And in fact, it is connected. So left side of the brain, more or less, we've talked about it in our book, Ready, Study, Go, in our first book. And now it's translated in Hindi also. Yeah. So we've said how it is all connected, you know. So left side you can say is logic, right side is more of music and emotions and artistic form, but they complement each other,
Mhm. Mhm.
you know.
Mhm.
So having a spiritual outlook is very important, because then you understand neuroscience as well, how my brain functions.
Okay.
So how should I study so that I get better results with, let's say, studying less, but
Okay.
more effectively, smartly,
Okay.
instead of hard work?
Okay.
You don't have to go like crazy. Oh, it is my 10th standard, it is my 12th standard. Well, now at least things have changed. The government is bringing in new rules with the education reform.
Yes. Yes.
But come exam time, and really you don't have to go cuckoo.
True. True. True.
Yeah. So it is important to understand how our brain functions.
Okay.
Each one of us is blessed with 100,000, 100 billion neurons in our heads, isn't it?
Okay.
So we have the hardware,
Mhm.
isn't it, to study
Yes.
everything, that maths and chemistry and physics and all what the scientists so far have said. You can understand all that. You can use all that if we know how to program this 100 billion neurons. Hardware is there, the software is required,
True.
isn't it? Which in a way both of you are providing to your students, but also can be done much more effectively through meditation.
So
There are
this.
some texts, let me just finish. There
Okay.
are some
Yeah.
texts like the Vaisheshika, Rishi Kanar, so
Mhm.
he says that there is no mention of God.
Mhm.
He says if you can understand one particle thoroughly,
Mhm.
you will be enlightened, you will be liberated. It says
Right.
Padartha Jnanat Moksha.
Fantastic.
And he talks about atom. That time, 3,000, 5,000 years ago, they talked about Anu,
Mhm.
isn't it?
Mhm.
So this is
Yes.
not something new which has come in the 19th century.
True.
Gravitational force, Newton didn't discover. We knew about it. He says Gurutwakarshan
Mhm.
Shakti,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
We knew that the force exists. So all these things, all these great discoveries or inventions, we had that in our culture.
Okay.
And because today we are moving away from spirituality, I feel our young people, our students and youth of India are lacking that confidence, are lacking that courage
Mhm.
that yes, they can be game changers, they can be world leaders in any field,
Okay. Okay.
isn't it?
Mhm.
Even in
Yes. Yes.
sports, our yogis have done phenomenal feat,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
we don't respect that. We go
Mhm.
into either denial,
Mhm.
because the British, they fed into us that whatever great came from outside,
Mhm.
which was a nonsense theory.
Mhm.
The Aryan invasion, all that was nonsense. They did it so that a small group of people could control such a
True.
huge, nation, right? So
True.
this is so fed into us
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
we miss out on the heritage that we have,
True. True.
isn't it? Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's what I feel. If we can own up our great heritage, we
Mhm.
can come back to being the greatest scientist and uh, you know
Yeah.
the top things that you're using. Zoom, why can't India build it?
True.
Yeah,
True.
isn't it? The
True.
topmost iOS or Android, an Indian could have done it. Of course
True.
there are Indians in all these companies, no doubt,
True.
but we have been great entrepreneurs and scientists and artists and all that. We just have to own our heritage, and I feel that courage and confidence will come to
Okay.
us to
Okay.
propel ourselves in the future.
Let's hope so. That
That's
would be
so
really nice. Can we say that? Let me just put it in a different way.
Is Kedarji also with
Kedarji is
us
here?
now?
Yeah, yeah. Kedarji wanted to add something? Please go ahead.
I believe, sir, my question that I had also has the same answer. What the question comes in my mind many times that बच्चे आते हैं और कहते हैं सर मैंने सिली मिस्टेक कर दी सर बहुत ही सिली मिस्टेक कर दी I did a very small mistake and I lost the marks.
Ah,
I feel very bad when they say like this. And you know what? It is known that meditation in pranayam has got a very good positive effect on this kind of silly mistakes and all. But I would like to know whether it has been quantized in art of living or in your, sadhana and all these things, and whether some experiments have been done on that so that we can tell the students scientifically, just as Durgesh sir ne kaha, the way he said that, spirituality and scientific rational thinking and all, we can definitely imbibe this particular thing, that this particular experiment has been done better, and you will get benefited through this 100%. ऐसे हम लोग उनको बता पाएंगे. In this way, we can say this thing to the students.
Definitely. There is a lot of studies over the last couple of decades that have happened all over the world. Yeah, in India, in AIIMS, in NIMHANS, on mental health and the brain, in Johns Hopkins University, in as of now Harvard and Yale, as Stanford, and all of them have conclusively proven that the Sudarshan Kriya helps tremendously in the issue that you're talking about. When people make a mistake. Let me give you a practical example. When we make a mistake, where does our hand go? Have you noticed this? Yeah, we say, "Are yaar, chuk dhali." I knew this. Yeah. Because the energy is behind. In our brain, it's not in the frontal lobes. When we do a mistake, the energy is behind. And when we tell people, maybe our children or our students, come on, focus. Where does our hand go? Come on, focus. Where's your attention? है ना? कहाँ है तुम्हारा ध्यान? ध्यान रखो इधर. Isn't it? Or we have to remember something. You're in an exam, you know it, and you want to remember. Where does your hand go? अरे क्या है वो? क्या था वो? Isn't it? Because you want the energy to be in the prefrontal cortex of the brain. And that is exactly what happens when you meditate. That prefrontal cortex, or it is called the new brain. Yeah. So there are three different types of brain: the primal brain, and the limbic system, and the prefrontal cortex. So the energy stays more here, and you do less mistakes. Then of course they have studied the alpha, beta, gamma waves that happen, delta waves that happen in the brain. Yeah, putting all those fMRI or PET scan, and stuff like that, EEG, and they found out that at the end of the Sudarshan Kriya, half an hour of rhythmic breathing and whatever, the state that Sudarshan Kriya takes somebody into, they are 300% more tuned to what is happening. So if they study, and which was been my experience, what would require for me to study for 3-4 hours or 4-5 hours in IIT, I could finish the same in a couple of hours at less than 1/3 or half the time, because you are so much more focused. And then I had so much more time to do the other things that I wanted to do, which also helped with the studies and things like that. So yes, it helps with all the good hormones. The dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins, they get pumped in the system in the meditative state. And what make you make mistakes, the stress hormones, cortisol and adrenaline, they are reduced. Wow. When I was in the University of Norway in Oslo, the professor there, Dr. Farhi, he said that he was showing me all the results and the data and stuff, how Sudarshan Kriya affects at the genetic level. The good genes, they express better, and the not so good genes, their expression is restricted tremendously. I was wondering, wow, just with the breath, we can address to that level, to the very basic fundamentals of being a human. So
there have been scientific studies.
Exactly. Scientific studies are there. Empirical studies are there. Students, teachers, parents from all over the world are sharing this is helping. It all comes down to what kind of initiative we take to reach this to our students, our children, and then skillfully how we can make it interesting or cool so that they stay with the practice. That is our yukti, our skill that is required.
Right. One more challenge which students usually talk about and which we have seen often, वो 3 Idiots में एक अच्छा dialogue है कि friend fail होता है तो दुख होता है, लेकिन first आता है तो ज़्यादा दुख होता है. So peer pressure, competitive pressure, this is definitely there. And I personally feel that this is also a kind of a pandemic, in the sense that there is a competitive fever amongst, unhealthy competitive fever. I mean, a certain level of, instinct to perform better and to work hard towards it is one aspect, but sometimes it gets into an unhealthy territory. So how do students, should they manage this? This peer pressure, this competitive pressure, because at the end of the day, all these exams, these entrance exams, there are very few good seats, and there are lakhs of students who are aspiring for them. So in their journey, there is this challenge, of course. Normally, what we tell students is that they should focus on the subject, enjoy the knowledge, and if you do that, then all other things will just come by. But there are more things, I'm sure, which you can possibly add. Could you just share more?
Yes, we had thoroughly enjoyed Three Idiots, but we were really bugged because they had stolen all the yes plus knowledge.
Okay.
But well, they had depicted it very nicely and in an entertaining fashion. So the message reached a lot of people. That's good. And like you said, Durgesh, this is tremendously intensified in IIT because we have relative grading.
Yes,
Isn't
yes,
it? So not only should I be better, but others should be worse than me.
Yeah, the system is designed like that.
Yes, that's right. So even if I get like 95 on 100 and everybody else gets 97 and 99, I will still may get a D.
And with 9 marks, I can get an A.
Exactly.
We used to say it's an institute of infinite tension.
Right. But when Gurudev was addressing IIT Delhi, he said, IIT stands for intense inner transformation.
Wow.
Which is what I experienced in my second year when I did the Art of Living program. And yes, nowadays the idea is changing, the paradigm is changing. Even companies like Google, just 3 days back, we addressed the employees of Google, the professionals in Google India. And they say that they are not looking for toppers.
Mm-hmm.
They don't look for toppers. Even if you have failed, even if you're not a graduate, you have to understand the subject. You have to know what we are hiring you for. That's it. And that is what people are looking at right now. That is one thing. So your excellence doesn't matter your marks. So automatically this ki acha mere ko isse zyada ye hona chahiye wo chala jata hai. In our book Ready Steady Go, we have said, and this is again research, is when you are teaching someone, you remember and you learn 95%. Isn't it? Yeah. If you want to be good at something, you teach that. We think that, oh, if I teach my friend, he will become better than me. Is not neurologically correct. Yeah. Isn't it? You teach someone, you become much better than them. So don't worry. You help everyone, you teach everyone. That's okay. You are going to get only better and better. Secondly, it's not about marks, because now the whole people, the way they are hiring headhunters, they are not looking for marks, they are looking for your mastery, your excellence.
Yeah.
So study for knowledge. Again, it comes to that. Understand the subject.
Often we introduce students to this idea. See whether it matches your thought process. Just as a gymnast thinks while performing, and like a boxer thinks before performing. So a boxer is always wary of his opponent's movements. So it's a combat event. Whereas a gymnast is just performing on his own or her own, and it's fully into the act. So it's a perfectionist event. So if the children, they are not having to have a head-on collision with anybody. They're not having a wrestling or a boxing match with anybody in the exam. They just have to do their stuff well. So if they think like a gymnast, I think that also could be one of the ways possibly to help them to overcome this fear.
Lovely analogy. Yeah, sure. We used to say, if you're running a 100-meter race, if you even look at the person where they are, that's it, you've lost.
Lost it.
Isn't it? So everybody's, you can say, opponent, so to speak, is the time.
True.
In education, everybody's opponent is the ignorance, not each other. In fact, if you help each other out, you can go much farther. Yeah, each
Correct.
one of you can excel.
Symbiotic relationship.
Exactly.
Right. One more challenge which students are currently facing and which parents are very worried about, they bring us to our notices. They don't study and spend a lot of time on electronic gadgets, video games.
But I'm glad they are here right now.
Yes.
They are using the electronic.
But there are many who will be listening later. Yeah. So social media, video games, and other stuff absorbs their mind. And in this lockdown period, this COVID period, it has happened so that we have to tell them that gadgets are needed. So in this kind of a tricky situation, how do we ensure that students are using the gadgets for the right reasons?
Beautifully worded question. Yes, technology is essential, and like you said, it should be used for the right reasons. Yeah. In fact, video games are not bad. It is, again, research shows that up to 45 minutes a day, if you play video games, your brain can be much more sharper.
Great. Official license will
Up to 45 minutes.
Okay.
Don't not hear that.
Fine print.
भूल गया दिनेश मैंने क्या बोला था वीडियो गेम खेलना अच्छा है. No, it is, again, the time is also important, so much time.
Right.
And parents and teachers need to see that video games are not the culprit. Yeah. You have to find out what the video games are putting in it that is making them attracted to it.
And what education is not having.
Exactly. And that is where we have to bring what is called gamification into education. Again, this narrative, this conversation is going out among the enlightened educationalists, that how we can bring gamification. Gamification is simply understanding what motivations make us engage with something.
Okay.
When the greatest minds in history have dwelled on these topics in physics, chemistry, maths, whatever, yeah, why are our students lacking that love for it? Isn't it?
Yes.
They don't have less brains. They have as many neurons as those scientists had. But what is it that we are doing or not doing where we are not getting them interested? You see, which is what we have attempted to do on our YouTube channel, BND TV. We put a lot of nice videos, like a maths video. We put a plus b the whole square minus b the whole square, which has like millions of views.
Beautiful, yeah.
Because how to make it interesting?
Golden ratio, and one is like a very big hit.
Yeah, even Pythagoras theorem. It was taught way before Pythagoras by Bhattacharya too, and while playing to his daughter. Was it Bhattacharya or whatever?
I don't know.
Aryabhatta, to his daughter Leelavati. In Rangoli, he was showing the Pythagoras theorem.
Okay.
So it is easy. It is interesting. But we as teachers and parents have to invest that time and our energy and our intellect to bring skillfully that gamification process in our studies as well.
So some
I'm glad
edutainment.
your classes and the way you are inspiring the JEE aspirants, IIT aspirants, you are bringing in some, and we should get in more. So gamification on one hand, spiritual practices on the other, and you have a winning combination.
Can we say that science is about observed phenomena and spirituality is about the observer? So
very good. Yeah.
So if we work on the observer, naturally the ability to perceive observed phenomena becomes better. Is that a good way to put it?
Yes, sure. Can you give me 1 minute?
Sure. Kedar sir, you have a question. You also had some themes to talk about today. You were talking about your son, I guess. Can you just elaborate on that?
I had been in formal education also and in informal education also. what I have observed is the teachers are not competent at school level and at college level, especially when it comes to ninth standard and beyond that. It makes difference how competent the teacher is, the educator is. If he's not competent in his knowledge part and his delivery part, then what happens is the students, you know what, they're having a higher physical ability and therefore those start dominating. The nuisance creating elements in the class start, making the class totally volatile. And in a way, the teacher is, not in position to manage the class, control the class itself. So it has been seen by me, my son also have observed this thing, that class control itself is a big problem. And therefore he started feeling that it is a waste of time for me. So why not go for some dummy course or dummy college, dummy school? So when we searched for this, and we found that the homeschooling is the best option. The National Institute of Open Schooling, Delhi, offers the homeschooling. I mean, you need not go to the school. You just do your own studies, focus, and then appear for the exam. This is how the system is. I have opted for that, but I would like to know from Dinesh Guruji that, you know what, I came across many my friends and relatives that they are saying that social component, social interaction will be missed out in this particular homeschooling. So I would like to know your view regarding this, that what we can do so that these two things can be balanced.
So put it briefly, the question is homeschooling is a picking up trend in many metropolitans because of inadequacies in the formal education system. So some parents are considering that and actually following it. Kedar's son has been into this kind of a system. So some light on that, Dinesh bhai.
You also share your views.
Yeah, we are coaching students in a parallel system anyway.
Okay.
So, and in the current scenario, at least in the new education policy, the way it seems to be, with so much liberal aspects given, so many options given, flexibility given, there is a possibility of digital schools coming up in the future. And if that happens, maybe homeschooling will become quite a pronounced trend, is what is one reading I have about the new education policy and its consequences. But whether it is good from a social perspective, because you miss the socializing component of it. That's what Kedar sir was talking about. So would you like to share about that? Something about that?
Yes, you have put both the aspects correctly. The trend is moving towards that, studying at your own pace, in your own comfort, and that is happening. And yes, the social engagement is somehow reducing. So what we have to do is make more contact points for these social engagements to happen. So let's say sports can be encouraged at the same time, which you cannot necessarily play on other than maybe chess or something. You cannot play online. Then drama and theater, singing or dance. If all of this is promoted along with the schooling, I feel that would be a much more holistic and sustainable approach. And yeah, that's my take on it. Only homeschooling would be great if that individual has a high level of self-discipline. Otherwise, it's very easy to get into distractions, you see. So like you earlier said, that there is Instagram and Facebook and PUBG and all those things are there. So it's very easy to just slip into that. So either it requires a lot of self-discipline, and secondly, many more ways to connect physically with people, social engagement once the lockdown and all gets over. Yeah, so that aspect of an individual also gets developed, that emotional quotient, that spiritual quotient, which will help them to rise up in any field that they undertake.
Right. One more observation, which I think many teachers have brought to our attention, and in recent times who are teaching with us and outside, and I'm sure Kedar sir also will subscribe to this view, that since we are teaching for the last 1.5 decades or so, or maybe 2 decades, we have seen some changes happening every 5 to 6 years in the students' profile also. Their attitudes, their behavior, and many other aspects, the behavioral aspects. I'm not talking about the academic aspect. So the current teenage generation, we generally find there is some difference with respect to what we saw maybe 7 years ago, 10 years ago, 12 years ago. And we find them faster, sharper, but they are also more impatient. And they tend to give up quite fast if faced with some setback or failure. So I would say they lack in terms of an adversity quotient, अगर इसको कुछ बोलेंगे तो उसमें थोड़ा कम ज़्यादा है. How to build this adversity quotient, how to make them more persevering, and how to make them more patient. Is meditation one of the tools, or there are many other tools also besides this?
Yes, spirituality is a very powerful, very effective way to bring up all these qualities. Whether it is patience or perseverance, for that matter, distraction-free, focused attention. Yeah, all this comes with spirituality. And that's how I see it. Whether in our schools, in the Sri Ravi Shankar Vidya Mandirs, or the school that is there opposite our ashram, we have almost 2,600 students. And when I go there, the joy that is there, Gurudev says education should be an enjoyable process, and they excel in everything. Like our students, they have taken almost all the sports trophies, whether it is football or Manipur kids, or it's judo, karate, and basketball, name it. At the same time, they have come on top at the academic level as well. So education needs to be an enjoyable process, and spirituality definitely helps them get the all the other so-called values. As you said, adversity quotient, very nicely put. They learn how to handle failure or distractions, for that matter. Earlier, it used to be survival of the fittest. Now it is survival of the focused. The more focused you are, the more you can not just survive, thrive. Thrive in education and in life in general.
True.
They get courage and confidence, which is so important, especially when the competition is so much and we are always comparing with others. It's not needed. But when you have that confidence and that courage, then you see, yes, I am wonderful, and so is everybody else. So then all those arrogance and ego and unnecessary pride doesn't assail you, affect you. You see that? So I feel, spirituality is the one-stop shop.
So it's a Ramban Upai.
Exactly.
Krishna Ban Upai. Sudarshan Chakra. Now we should talk of Janmashtami, we should talk of Krishna.
Right. And Gurudev at one point he had said that the highest knowledge, the Bhagavad Gita, was given in a battlefield to Arjuna, because Krishna gave it not as a teacher, but as a friend. And I feel that as teachers and as parents, we need to understand that. There is a very popular Subhashit, Sanskrit Subhashit, which says that once a child becomes 16, he gets into your shoes, fits into your chappals, then treat them as your friends. So if we give the whatever our teachings, what we are teaching our students, understanding where they are coming from in the language that they understand, from the frame of mind that they are in, then it will be much more effective, I feel. Like you're saying, they are becoming smarter every generation, every 5-7 years, they're smarter, sharper. I feel even the teachers need to do that. We as teachers or we as parents also need to be sharper and smarter.
Yes. Kedar, you had one more point.
One more point is there, sir. You know what? That also will have the solution in spirituality, possibly.
we are troubling Dinesh today with a lot of questions.
Exactly. What I have seen that, that you do the mistake, but do not do the same mistake again and again. This is what my grandfather used to say. अरे जिससे एक चूक कर तो उससे तीन करू नकोस रे, एकदा कर ना, वेगळी कर. You do different mistake every time, no issues in that. But do not do the same mistake again and again. What I observed is, the students tend to do the same mistake 3 times, 4 times. Then I get sometimes, a little bit irritated. अरे मैंने आपको 2 बार बता दिया बेटा, same mistake कर रहे हो. So what is my question is, why there is a lack of, retention of content or retention of the the learning.
Retention capacity.
हाँ, वो जो है मिस्टेक से जो सीखा है वो रिटर्न करने की एबिलिटी क्यों इनकी कम हो गई है? Why it has happened like this? क्या इसको स्पिरिचुअलिटी से एक्सप्लेन किया जा सकता है?
In a way, because it depends on the level of consciousness of a person. Yeah? I'll give you a very practical example. Let us say your Kamwali Bai. Okay, she cleans the house, and mother will come and say, "Ithe ghana hai na? Ithe head saaf nahi kar neat." Isn't it? Hasn't this happened? Or the whatever, the helper will clean the dishes, and the mom or your wife will say, "But azuni chikat ahe, this is." So yeah, what is happening from the level of the Kamwali Bai or the person who is there, yeah, your house help, it is clean. From their level of consciousness, it is clean, isn't it? From your mother's perspective, it is not clean. If our mother or wife, whatever, she cleans up, and you take a researcher in a high tech lab, they will say this is dirty, isn't it? Now, what is the difference between the house help, the mother, and the researcher in the high tech lab?
Perception or
Yes,
consciousness.
exactly. Yeah. The same way, if we raise the level of consciousness of our children, then they will realize that I've already done this mistake and I need to learn from this and move ahead. Then that mistake, usually we say mistake is what if you have missed taking the lesson from it.
Wow.
Yeah. So when you take that lesson, then automatically you have raised your level of consciousness. You have moved away from that mistake. You will not repeat it. Are you getting this? Yeah. Again, this comes with Gyan and Dhyan, with the spiritual knowledge as well as technique. Little bit of pranayams. You raise the level of prana in the system, the energy levels in the system, and the way you will respond is very different than when the energy levels are low. Then you will tend to react. Hasn't this happened? Yeah.
So it's like a colored film in front of us, and the whole view outside changes as per the color. So it depends on the color of our emotions in the mind,
right?
The perception.
Yatha drishti tatha shrishti, isn't it? Yeah. So same thing. We just raise the level of our consciousness, and you will notice that we don't repeat the mistakes. We learn from them. We move ahead, and we keep, evolving in life.
Great.
So spirituality is the answer, and all the answer lies in our motherland's ancient knowledge, isn't it?
And spirituality was so beautifully integrated into our daily life. Earlier you said that youngsters are becoming a little agnostic, or this is not for me, because when they ask the questions, the parents, mostly the parents, they are not giving answers which appeal to their heads or their hearts. Oh, why should we do arti? Why do we have to bow down? Hey, gabbasun kartu. Just shut up and do it. There is a lot of scientific knowledge behind that. Like when you make a mistake, what is our punishment? We pull the ears, isn't it? Now, why pulling the ears? If you look at the ears, they are like the shape of a baby in the womb, with the head down. So when you pull the ears, the nerves, the nadis here, they connect directly to the prefrontal cortex. So when you pull on them, what is happening? Suddenly, this is getting lighted up.
Okay.
So if you have made a mistake, meaning what? The energy was behind. How do you bring it in front? You pull the earlobes. Even our mistake was so scientific. I mean, the punishment was so scientific.
Yeah.
And now I've met, I mean, I've been invited many schools and colleges in the US, UK, different places in Europe. They make children do this 3 minutes of doing this,
Super brain
and they
yoga.
call it super brain yoga.
Amazing.
And they show with charts and pie charts and graphs and infographics how the students' attention span has increased and their exam results have gone up just
Okay.
by doing this for 3 minutes.
So this is scientifically documented now.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
We put this chandan or vibhuti or whatever because the Agya Chakra is here. Of the 7 chakras, this is what we learn on the advanced meditation program of the Art of Living. The Agya Chakra is here, and this is where knowledge is. We say, no, Tisri Aakh Shivji ki, anger and awareness.
Yeah.
So putting a little bit of chandan or kumkum or whatever keeps it cool, so emotional stability comes. And just this act of touching here or having something there will keep your pituitary gland and the hypothalamus, which balance the body, which make the brain sharper, all that activated.
Fantastic.
You see, so everything has such a powerful scientific basis to it. And if as teachers and parents we can give this to our children, they will respect spirituality, they will respect our traditions, and once we do that, then they will own the heritage. All these rishis, they were scientists par excellence. You have to see our video on the BND TV, Amazing India, or Technology of Spirituality.
Okay.
How
Technology of spirituality.
greatest of discoveries happened here. We say Vasco da Gama came to India. Nothing. He was bought by a Gujarati merchant with ships 10 times his size. The navigation, the word navigation comes from Sanskrit, Navagati. Because our ships were far advanced than any of these people. So many of these things we don't know. We think, okay, Archimedes brought up the buoyancy principle. Come on, we had ships much bigger than what they made to come to India. You see?
Yeah. So a related question would be we have such an ancient heritage, worthy of all respect. The number of higher education institutions in the country today are almost 40,000. After 12th, 40,000 colleges in India. Only 2 to 3 to 4% are considered A grade. Rest are all not worth going to, is what general perception is. B grade, C grade, D grade colleges. So there is another trend which is there, which is also becoming a kind of important phenomena to understand, is that students are now trying to go abroad for further studies after 12th standard. So now on one side, if you see, the number of good colleges for higher education in India are on a lower side. And the competition is huge. So only a fraction of them are able to make it to the A grade colleges. Rest have an option either to be in the B grade colleges or C grade colleges, or maybe stop their education, or maybe do some other course where they can just find something, or go abroad. And many are opting to go abroad. Now, should this trend be encouraged? Not encouraged as teachers, as mentors? Because students do ask us, parents do ask us. Now, if I look at them and their happiness, I say, yes, go for it. What you do, pursue what you love. Pursue what you are good at. If you're getting a good admission in a prestigious university abroad, go for it. And suppose you're not able to make it to one of the prestigious colleges in India, you can opt for it. This is our general advice, at least the last 3 to 4 years. I would like to share with you that last 5 to 6 weeks, we are organizing seminars for foreign university admissions for our 12th standard kids. And the attendance is overwhelming. And in one of the seminars, webinars, I remember the speaker asked, how many of you want to go abroad to settle? How many of you want to go abroad, just study and come back? Unanimously, most students said they want to go abroad to settle. Honestly, at that time, my conscience was a little shaken. I felt, am I doing the right thing by organizing such webinars? Am I doing the right thing by encouraging students to also explore foreign universities? somewhere the world is one, and then they will go abroad and maybe contribute back to the motherland in some way or the other. How should we look at it from a moral point of view, from a moral lens?
Yeah. So definitely, a lot of brain drain happens. Uh, I would urge the students to look at the why behind their decision. If they want to go abroad, why is it? Sometimes it is just as an escape. Oh, in India there are so many problems, and I have to be with my parents, and they are breathing down my neck, and there is so I just want to get away from it. Then it is not a healthy way. I would recommend going abroad only in cases where that particular field or is not offered in India.
Okay.
Like, let's say artificial intelligence, the topmost labs are not in India somehow, or I'm not remembering any particular fields, but if it is not, then you could.
Okay.
Otherwise, what happens? They spend so much of money, and they don't realize it at that age what their parents are doing. Their parents could be spending like 20, 30, 40, 50 lakhs. If it is for a graduation program or an MBA, even more. Now you spend that much, you learn for 2 years, and then you have to work for another 2-3 years just to gain back that money, isn't it? So after 5 years, you are at the same square. And thereafter maybe you start getting into the green, you start earning money and all that. This is my personal opinion, that education in India is improving, and it is quite good. Okay. Secondly, if you train yourself, and I'm sure both of you are helping through your endeavors, then a student can excel wherever they are. Now everything is e-learning, isn't it? Like the topmost of lectures from most of the topmost universities, they are available online.
Yeah, free.
Maybe either free or for some little bit of a monthly,
easily accessible.
Something. They're quite easily accessible. True. So if they are committed that way, they can learn the best of the best, even if you are in a C-grade institution in India. So you have the best sitting wherever you are, and you can compete with the best of the best. You have the genetic makeup. Wherever I have traveled in around the world, they say Indians are the smartest. Indians and Chinese. Yeah. So if there is an Indian or a Chinese in a classroom, then they forget the first, second, third rank. They will be held by the Indians or the Chinese. Because again, it is their hard work and their that like you really work for it. And second is a level of confidence.
Okay.
So if you have these qualities, I feel well, you can be the best being where you are, and logistically look at these things. Yeah, what you are investing, what is the return on investment, how many years would you take to come back to square one? Again, are you going to stay there? And because they are also having problems of unemployment and stuff like that. Yeah, from here, sitting here, it all looks very rosy picture. Yeah? But that may not be so. So talk to people who are there.
Correct.
And I would say only then you take an informed choice. Yes. So I'm not like against it totally. I'm not for it. I'm saying use all these framework to arrive at a decision.
It's a very carefully we have to arrive at that decision. Yes. It's not black and white.
That's right.
One good news which is there in this new education policy is that almost 100 top foreign universities will be allowed to open campus in India itself. So if that happens and materializes, initially they will collaborate with Indian universities, and then slowly they will migrate into their own campus. This is one possible development which is recommended strongly, and I think the HRD minister also was talking about it. So if that happens, I think that would be one good smart way to arrest the brain drain, hopefully.
Brilliant. And also make it much more affordable.
Right. Yeah. And on Indian soil itself.
That's true. So even Sri Sri University, no, the Art
Yes.
of Living University in Bhubaneswar, Cuttack. We are also collaborating with many universities abroad, so we can give the best of the education from the East and the West. Again, I would say if a student want to take an admission there, they should talk to the students there and, uh, arrive at a informed choice, a decision.
Correct, correct. And for students, I would just like to mention that Dinesh sir is an expert in a very rare type of therapy called craniosacral therapy. He's been talking a lot of, I'm sorry, I did not get all those jargon of which brain ka kaun sa lobe ka kaun sa hormone and all that. I'm very weak in biology. Forgive me my ignorance, but he has been practicing that and healing a lot of people. So he's a great healer as well, besides being an amazing teacher. So whatever he has said is out of his first-hand experience with himself and second-hand experience with the patients he has been dealing with. So I think if he has said that breathing techniques and meditation and all these different things works at different levels of the physiology of the body, we have to take it at face value. And one more current problem which we are all having is we are always sitting in front of this kind of laptop and with this kind of stuff on and doing online coaching. And there is no option because we are in lockdown. Schools, colleges, coaching institutions have been told by the government to be in lockdown, and it is correctly so because of the current situation. So, how long is this likely to go on, and what changes and repercussions you envisage with society, with teachers, students, parents, and this whole equation, education matrix is likely to be shuffled quite a bit. And if it is, especially if this lasts for many more months, because that's one fear which has been expressed by many students, by many parents, that sir ये कितना टाइम चलेगा, एक साल चलेगा क्या, 6 महीना चलेगा क्या, ऐसी ऑनलाइन ही चलेगा क्या, छोटी सी स्क्रीन में हमारा बच्चा पढ़ेगा क्या. So all that kind of stuff. Fortunately, at least we are in the metropolitans where most of our students can afford a smartphone and they have one device for themselves and they're able to access it. Internet connection is good. But if you see at a pan-India level, there are problems. I mean, there are some national level institutions who are not able to give online coaching live because their students are spread in different parts of India where they don't have internet connectivity. So they give recorded lectures and they manage it somehow. But ये ही थोड़ा इसको कैसे एक्सेप्ट करे या इसको साथ कैसे अडाप्ट करे ऐसा स्टूडेंट्स के लिए, पेरेंट्स के लिए, टीचर्स ने तो अडाप्ट कर लिया है.
Right. So life has this habit of throwing challenges at us. And we don't know when it is going to get over. Yeah, that's an uncertainty that we have to play with, and we have to rise to the occasion. Yeah, we have to improvise. We have to make the best use of our time, the best use of whatever resources we have to keep excelling and moving forward. Which is what, as you said, teachers are doing, parents are doing, should do. Similarly with the children as well. We have to arrive at a new norm. New normal, what they call. So, well, today Russia has said that it has done a vaccine. It has come out with a vaccine. Don't know when it will reach the masses.
Yeah.
But, well, we have to make the best of what we have. And that is one training that will be with us when we are working as well. Or when these kids, they get married, they will have a different challenge. Being with their in-laws, being with the other person, and sharing life and doing so many things. Till then, you were taken care of. In an Indian situation, parents take care of everything, isn't it? Suddenly, the husband or the wife, once married, they have to look at finances and look at a lot of other things, practical situations. So right now, if we can train our mind to handle these challenges, then it will just become easier going further in life, I feel.
So this situation itself will improve the adversity quotient.
Definitely. And that's where we have to be grateful for whatever adversities that come our way.
Great. So you should look at it as a blessing in disguise then.
Totally. Only thing what we have to do is, even if we are in front of our screens, if we are more active physically, we will be able to learn much better. We'll be able to be much more effective. People who are working from home, if every half an hour, 45 minutes, again, we have written it in our Ready Study book, as well as Ready Study Go book, as well as the second book, Happiness Express.
Yes.
That little bit of being physically active, movement, helps with, how our neural connections are formed. So max 30 minutes, 45 minutes, you focus, you do your work, you do your studies, then take a 5-10 minute break, do something mindless, then come back to your studies or your work again. After 45 minutes or so, do something mindless. Yeah, that way you can achieve and go on for like 10 hours.
Fantastic.
No problem.
I just want to share with you that this Ready Study book, Ready Study Go book, we have been distributing to some of our toppers of our 8, 9, 10 standard students. And they were quite amazed by many of those techniques which you have talked about in the book. Could you elaborate on that mind map thing or something which you have mentioned there?
Yes.
For the benefit of the students? Yeah.
Definitely. It's a technique where in one page, you can have all the concepts from a bird's eye view as well as from a worm's eye view. You can go into whatever detail in one shot. So
Okay.
it's like when somebody else is doing a 800-page textbook,
Okay.
which has 30 chapters,
Mm-hmm.
if you have learned the mind mapping technique,
Okay.
then you can mind map every chapter as one mind map, and you are studying only 30 pages while somebody else is studying 800 pages.
Fantastic.
So just imagine your efficiency and productivity at that time.
Beautiful.
So yes, but it's a technique that needs to be learned. Not too difficult at all, but very helpful.
Can it be learned for science students also?
Exactly, definitely. So in Ready Study Go, for example, we have a mind map of, let's say, Shivaji.
Okay.
And so his entire life in just
Okay.
one mind map. You see how interesting it is.
Okay.
You can make it colorful. So then there is a mind map of the liver. So liver has like 595 functions. How in one mind map, now you don't need to be so colorful and all that, but it's just that's how our neurons are connected in the brain. They are not, they are radially connected. So if not linearly,
Yeah. So students really struggle in inorganic chemistry and organic chemistry reactions, and so this kind of technique will help, I guess.
Definitely, it
along with
helps
colors
big
and
time.
stuff like that.
Similarly, again, this one we have something. What does the sun do? All the things that the distances and the temperature, and it's phenomenal the kind of information that can be captured in one page, and it becomes interesting and easy to recall and remember, and definitely then easy to implement
also. Yeah, interesting. I remember one student in my batch in IIT. His name was Ravi Gupta. उसको हम RG बुलाते थे. वो relative grading करता था इसलिए. So he used to make notes in a very cryptic way. He used to draw a lot of cartoons in the class. And उसको पूछेंगे कि क्यों करता है भाई तू ऐसा, तो इससे कोई कॉपी नहीं करेगा ना, किसी को समझेगा नहीं क्या लिखा है. But he was so creative. I mean, he could draw cartoons and all these engineering concepts he could put it there. So mind map is related to something like that.
Yeah, it requires colors
but
and
a lot of creativity
and it is there, so you don't have to like draw pictures and stuff. Otherwise some people will go into, oh, but I can't draw, so forget, it's not for me. Nothing. That is one aspect for your brain to make those neural connections. But it is a phenomenal technique. If learned, can make us.
So gamification and mind maps, these are two things we will have to work on to build our course for students. Kedar, you had one more question.
No, the question about that, the students tend to give up, and what, they focus on the shortcuts. Sir, मुझे formula बता दीजिए sir, बाकी सब कचरा मत बताइए. This kind of attitude जो बच्चों की है, this I want to get them rid of, refrain them from this particular thing. And you know what? This is happening because the students are not pursuing the knowledge. The students are pursuing the marks in the exam. And if we can make them aware that you pursue the knowledge and marks will be the byproduct of that, then I hope this problem will be resolved.
Absolutely. You have asked the question and given the solution.
You have given the answer.
Correct.
Great. It was nice.
True. So yeah, that is where, you know, how to make studies also interesting, which should be our constant endeavor as teachers, as parents,
Right.
and ask the right questions, which we have been doing quite well today. When a child comes home, instead of the parent asking how much marks did you get, did you pass in the exam, you ask what did you learn. Yeah? If you ask the right questions, then the right connections form in the child's head, that it is not important how much marks I got. What did I learn today? Yeah, that is important.
That is
No?
true.
And that's how that habit can be cultivated.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
We also have a 2 years course where we have plenty of tests, and parents do share with us that before the test the child is so tensed up, and test के बाद 2-3 दिन उसके बहुत खराब जाते हैं. And then if you, as you rightly said, if you diagnose that, why? Because they were just were worried about the marks, the performance, how I did with respect to the others. But the knowledge part, the learning part is something which they have lost focus on. So if you bring their attention to them, those students do go through the rigmarole. And we have seen students who do very badly in our monthly tests, but do eventually very good. And the other way around as well. So I think the focus on learning and the knowledge part, which you are talking about, I think if that students can take home today, I guess lot that they will really have a great time. And
one or two examples, if I may quote.
Sure.
One of our teachers, she got the Ready Study Go book, and then she gave it to her cousin who was failing in maths for 2 or 3 years, you know. And she gave the book, and she really liked all the you know, all the pictures that were there, and it is such a reader friendly thing. So she read it, and then the next time she had the corrected answer paper in her hand, she started crying because she had got full marks in maths.
Wow.
She had failed for like, you know, 3-4 years.
Wow.
Another student, he wrote back. I mean, we get these SMSs and emails, you know, all the time. But this guy, he said that for so many years, I had some 14 or 15 backlogs, you know, and he said, again, somehow this book landed in my hand, and I read it, and I applied those principles, and today I've got the you know, results, and I have cleared all of them in one shot.
Beautiful.
So that's where we feel that sense of fulfillment, that yes, you know, what we had to share is making a huge difference to people.
Huge difference.
I remember, and out of living teachers, there is no better way than, you know, seeing the students progress and seeing the pride in the parents' eyes and the teachers' eyes, you know, not only when they grow academically, but even otherwise, you know, in their lives.
Fantastic. It was a great interaction. Any parting words? Today is Janmashtami, so anything from the Gita I would like to quote and conclude the show?
So first of all, be nutcut like Krishna.
Wow.
You know, as youngsters, when you are happier, you will be able to perform best. You know, similarly, when can you be nutcut? When can you play pranks? Only when you are happy. Yeah. So it's okay. Something that will not hurt others. Yes, you be a prankster. You be little naughty. That's good. Yeah, that is what Krishna tells us. You know, and he puts one foot like this and the other foot is like that. Krishna, isn't it? Yeah? He stands in style.
Yes.
Which means one foot in the material world and one foot in the spiritual. See? And that is, one second, that light is not.
So enlightenment.
Yeah. So that's where you definitely make sure that you learn the pranayam, some yoga. Yoga ha karmasu kaushalam. Yeah, it is said. So that little bit of yoga, pranayam, sudarshan kriya, that will make a huge difference to your studies and your life in general. And it is said, yukta ahara viharasya, yuktas cheshtasya karmasu, yuktas swapnava bodhasya, yogo bhavati dukkha. Meaning, yukta ahar and vihar. Meaning, your food habits should be proper. Vihar is your recreation, your happiness. Yeah? Then, yuktas yuktahara viharasya, yuktas cheshtasya karmasu. Your cheshta, your work. Yeah? And karmasu, your movement and your action, both are important. That needs to be balanced. Yukta swapnavabodhasya, your learning and your sleep, that is also important. When all this is balanced, that is when yoga can really eliminate all your sorrows, all your troubles, whatever is bothering you at this age or hereafter.
Fantastic.
IIT'ians sampata nahi.
Great. Thank you so much
Yes.
for being here and guiding our students and all the viewers. It was really inspiring. And I mean, preparing for these entrance exams or any exam or studying basically, there is one aspect of performing marks, getting some admission to this college, that college, and going upward in your career is one aspect, but enjoying the whole journey is also very important. And I remember words of Gurudev Shri Shri Ravishankar ji only. When you follow fun, misery follows you. Am I right?
Yes.
And when you follow knowledge, fun follows you. So I hope fun follows all of us as we pursue our knowledge, enjoy the journey, and achieve success and all that which we are looking for as well.
Wonderful. And we've had a lot of fun today.
Lot of fun.
Because
Yeah.
we
Has to
followed
be.
knowledge.
Krishna's day, of course. Thank you so much, Dinesh.
Okay, Kedarji, Durgesh.
Jai Gurudev.
Thank you. Good
Thank you
night.
very
And
much.
all the best to everyone.
All the best. Yeah. Thank you.
So the next program, starting with Dinesh Bhaiya from 13th August, he's coming to take for one session. 13th to 16th August, morning batch is 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Evening batch is 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. I have messaged this detail in your Zoom chat box as well. So you can join any batch. The age criteria is you have to be 17 years complete. So if your age group is 17 complete,